Hello and welcome to your next podcast on collaboration and technology use. We are now advancing from our understanding of structured information systems. When we went over from this idea of a transaction processing system, then to an ERP system, and then we used that knowledge to convert it into business intelligence system, we are now taking that knowledge further. And now we are going to look at unstructured information, and that's where this idea of collaboration and teams and things like that fit in. Okay, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about collaboration and communication. We'll then see what technology does in this area. We'll talk about virtual teams, and then we'll talk about IT acceptance. I'll also show you a demo of two different technologies that exist, Groove and OneNote, that can both help you in making your life easier. So, collaboration and virtual teams. Collaboration refers to the mutual effort of two or more individuals or groups to perform activities in order to accomplish certain tasks. Today, if you look around you, you've all been in groups and teams, and we try to get you in groups and teams because that's the way most organizations work. And some of these teams have worked and you have enjoyed these, and some have not worked. Okay, and we need to understand why both of these cases exist. But again, collaboration, why do we first of all get into teams? I'm going to use this analogy. Okay, first, think about a lot of people working together individually. That's the idea of a collective effort, where we come together, we work individually and hope that things become better. Okay? Or we can have a coordinated effort, where it's like a relay race, where you pass the baton over from one person to another and we carry forward. This is primarily how most of our MBA projects are done. Okay, we rarely we keep on saying, you do this part, you do that part, you do that part, and then we'll put it all together, or we say you finish it and I'll check it. That becomes a relay idea. In terms of rowing a boat, when we all paddle together, that's called a concerted effort. Here all must contribute simultaneously. And if you go back to rowing, if somebody is not rowing in the same way as you are, the boat doesn't go that well. Why do we need to do all of this? Why do we need to do all of this? Again, let's go back to our business intelligence discussion and the idea of bounded rationality. What did we say when we said bounded rationality? We said every individual has a bounds to their ability to process information. Now, as an individual, we are restricted in that. As we increase the level of collaboration, our ability to process information increases tremendously. And it is under that assumption that we want you to come in teams. According to Thomas Friedman, who says that collaboration is the way in which small companies act big and flourish in today's flat world. This is the way to go forward. Teams are important because this is what they allow us to do. They allow us to assimilate more information than is potentially possible even by a single person. And your objective is always to come towards a concerted effort as a team leader or as a team participant, so that the best thing can be done. How do we do that? How do we get our teams to work? My research shows, and this one's now published, so you can say JIS 2009. My research shows that there are 6 basic elements in which make the teams work. First is interdependence. Something needs to be dependent on each other. Okay. For example, I can come out and say there are 2 people in a team, A and B. Okay, and both of you give an exam individually, and I am going to take one person's grade and give it to both of you. Suddenly A is interested in what B is saying, B is interested in what A is saying, and they might start to feel interdependent with each other. The second thing that has to happen in teams working well is this idea of individual accountability. That's why when you go into dealerships and you go into the credit card sales office, you'll find a list of all the people, and they will actually put how each person is doing. The idea of showing that every person in a team is individually accountable. In the projects that I do as group projects, we do a peer feedback, okay, where each individual is actually shown how they are performing with respect to the team. There also needs to be support in a team. The degree to which participants offer useful help to each other. The idea of shared goals and shared understanding. Teams also need to build an identity. That's why teams, universities, teams, etc. go for mascots, go for common names. It also helps you set certain ground rules. In your IS tour, you've seen a remark saying that you need to have a group contract. That group contract is the idea of explicitly stating the ground rules that exist. We even go to the end of saying, well, why, if somebody doesn't do well, how will we resolve it? If all of these things are made clear up front, team members are not assuming things and we perform better. Goal emphasis. The degree to which participant behavior is focused on team goals. Again, this is to be made very explicit. Not everybody in a class is ready for an A. Some people are aiming for a B. Now, if these two people get together in a classroom, there's a conflict there. Okay? And finally, team feedback. Degree to which team members discuss how well they are achieving their goals and maintaining effective working relationships. This is done usually in those Monday morning meetings that a lot of organizations have. If a team has to work well, these 6 elements need to be present. This is not about technology. This is about teams working well, whether it's using technology or without technology. But interdependence, accountability, support, team identity, goal emphasis, and team feedback. These are all needed, and as you become team leaders, you will have to explicitly identify all of these. As a matter of fact, let me give you an example about identity somewhat more. When I did my MBA at the University of Georgia, we had something called the ropes course. This is also done by a lot of executives who come in and done in various organizations as well. But this is the idea where we go out, we relax with each other, and we start forming in a jungle, and we start forming an identity, and the teams really got together. And we will probably start doing this if we had a cohort set going through the entire MBA program together. Now that's the idea. Okay, that's the idea of how teams work well. Let's also distinguish between what collaboration is and what communication is. Okay, the idea of communication is very simple. Somebody speaks, somebody receives, and it is done through a standard communication channel, and probably through airways or through telephone, etc., etc. What makes collaboration happen is this idea of shared space, where we are able to put our thoughts together, symbols, etc. Let me define shared space real quick for you though. Shared space is a space where multiple people can interact together, put their thoughts, their ideas, their symbols, their understanding for reference at the same time or later. Okay, so for example, we have wikis, okay, which make collaboration happen. A lot of people use even email, where they keep a reference of things that are going along. Okay, it is this that makes conversation richer and makes collaboration happen. Okay, and when we do the Groove demo, which is a Microsoft product now, Groove demo, you will see exactly what a shared space means. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. How does information technology actually support communication and collaboration? First, I would like to show you a video of Vision Quest. This is an old GDSS software, group support systems. okay, group support system. This is where people come in and they talk about how technology is actually helping them use brainstorm much better and do better in meetings. It's an old video, okay, but the concepts are still relevant. If you want to see a recent product, a new product that uses Web 2.0 technology to do the same thing, look at ThinkTank. Okay, ThinkTank. This is a great product that does all of these things and is benefiting usage of technology a lot more. Now, as you see the video, you will realize that there is an inert resistance even among you guys, the students of technology right now, to actually use a computer in a meeting. But it has been shown that it increases effectiveness by at least 40%. We have seen that even in our virtual classrooms, that the idea of simultaneity and anonymity are powerful ideas. Simultaneity refers to the idea that multiple speakers can speak at the same time. Take a typical meeting or a typical classroom. Who can speak in that? Only one person at a time. Okay, and sometimes your ideas might come in and you might not even be able to discuss them because the speaker just continues to speak. Simultaneity allows multiple people to give ideas at the same time, substantially benefiting brainstorming activities. Anonymity is another big one that helps. This idea of putting things online without being referred to you, okay, that helps in people attacking the idea rather than you as an individual. Okay, and there are also timid people in an organization that speak up. Okay, just because somebody is not speaking up doesn't mean that they cannot contribute positively, and anonymity helps you tremendously in that area. So let me show you a Vision Quest video right here.
Inevitable. In the past, though, change seems simpler, more continuous, and more predictable. In today's dynamic marketplace, events are moving faster and conditions are becoming more complex. Gone are the comfortable gradual market curves. Now, change seems to be more frenetic and unpredictable. To remain successful, businesses need to be responsive to change. But in today's complex environment, the task of adapting to the new is becoming more and more difficult. Managing change is the key to an organization's survival. Organizations cope with change by continuously learning. Those that don't learn don't succeed. What's essential to the learning process is a team approach, different people analyzing the same situation from various perspectives and sharing their views. Teams are the most effective way for an organization to learn.
Teams allow people to get a lot done quickly. Teams are a way to put numbers on the board very fast. But teams are also a way to pull people into a work environment and give them a sense of belonging and a sense of performance, a sense of self-worth that's often very difficult to achieve in a very large organization. So there's a big adrenaline factor about teams that give people a real sense of meaning that often was not true in the more hierarchical organizations.
It's no longer possible for one individual to understand the complexities that an organization encounters. Vision Quest is a computer program that provides individuals with the tools to structure effective teamwork. Teams have become the fundamental learning units of an organization. In preparing a Vision Quest agenda, team members build a strong framework for productive collaborations. Forming a team, sometimes called a committee, task force, or ad hoc group, is only the first step in the process. The team concept alone does not guarantee success. Team members need a way to effectively share their unique skills and knowledge so they can learn from one another. Vision Quest fosters this interaction, which is vital to corporate survival. Traditionally, teams have communicated in face-to-face meetings. Indeed, by one estimate, 20 million meetings are held in the United States daily, taking up to 50% of management time. But the traditional meeting fails to fulfill the requirements of quality teamwork. Problems continue to plague meetings, making them ineffective and costing corporate America billions of dollars every workday.
You'll see in conference rooms the addition of tools that help people do brainstorming, that help them organize the long list of ideas that they'll generate, to help them do things like rating, ranking, or voting, to help them do things like collaborative writing or creating documents in a conference room. So you'll see building on the basic concept of a meeting, which is actually one of the most familiar ways of working together that we know, but adding to it the power of a computer to allow everybody to talk at once, for example.
To achieve the full potential of meetings, Collaborative Technologies Corporation has created Vision Quest, a computer program that enhances the effectiveness of business teams. Vision Quest can benefit task groups at all levels of an organization: management, finance, marketing and sales, distribution, research and development, production, personnel, or MIS. And it can save corporations billions of dollars and thousands of hours that are now wasted in unproductive meetings. For whatever purpose teams are formed, Vision Quest creates an environment where quality teamwork flourishes.
A lot of people are too timid to exercise their free speech, but Vision Quest allows the most timid to be expressive and to say what's on their mind. And those are ideas that we might not capture in face-to-face meetings.
The basic concept of Vision Quest is simple. Teams work best when they enter into a genuine thinking together or dialogue.
Complex criteria.
I agree with you. I think it will be useful for us to see how we would deal with the Malcolm Baldrige criteria. You've all had a chance to look through the agenda we've constructed, so everybody's ready. Let's go ahead and get started.
Through its agenda structure, Vision Quest assists teams in organizing meetings into constructive dialogues. The most productive meetings incorporate dialogues in which team members can generate and share ideas freely and can surface underlying assumptions.
People on the board.
I think the Quality Improvement Board should include employees from all levels.
Granted.
Vision Quest provides tools for teams to effectively sift and organize these ideas so they can be insightfully evaluated. And by the end of the dialogue, a prioritized list can be generated.
Now, it seems clear to me that customer service and satisfaction should be the #1 thing we do. If we keep that at the forefront of our daily routine, we'll achieve the kind of quality and company we want to be.
I agree with that, Amos, and I think that as management, we've really got to remember we can put signs everywhere about how important quality is, but if we don't have an active, visible program as management, it won't work.
Actually, our next activity addresses that issue. So thank you for the lead-in, Tom.
Throughout the dialogue, the agenda directs the meeting toward the goals. This orientation keeps the teams on track. They reach their objectives faster, and the meetings are more efficient. Research indicates that in traditional business meetings, participants use up to 80% of their time generating ideas. One of Vision Quest's features, brainwriting, speeds idea generation by allowing team members to contribute ideas simultaneously. And they can see instantly what others are suggesting.
That's a great idea, but we need some market research on that.
Good. Put that in.
Okay.
After the ideas have been generated, VisionQuest gives team members a variety of easy-to-understand tools to assist them in evaluation. As the agenda activities unfold, individuals become a team in the true sense, completely engaged in the dialogue. This thinking together process focuses the team's attention and produces creative solutions. Since VisionQuest documents the dialogue as it progresses, each team member leaves the meeting with a map of where they've been and directions to where they're going.
What we intend to do with the groupware is simply to speed up the decision-making process. A good example would be product development, where we put together a task force to develop a new product, and these people might be spread all over the western United States or beyond. So bringing them here to Phoenix and working through the problems is both time-consuming and costly. And the nice thing about VisionQuest is that it's distributed. And once the person knows how to operate within the context of the software, then they can be any place. And that is what we see as the major advantage to us of this particular kind of groupware.
Though most meetings are face-to-face activities, VisionQuest permits individuals to interact without everyone having to be at the same place at the same time. With personal computers linked to a network, team members sitting at their own desks can participate in a dialogue at their convenience. This flexibility is fundamental to the mission of Collaborative Technologies Corporation, that of providing business teams with a powerful support tool, one that helps teams learn and that assists their organizations in adapting to change. In the future, VisionQuest will become the centerpiece of a larger vision linking together a variety of software and managing all the group work in an organization. With this integration, organizations using VisionQuest will more successfully respond to change and will prosper into the 21st century.
The idea of limiting this type of technology would be a real waste. One, because I don't think it has too many limits. It has a very flexible boundary if you want to look at it. Yes, it has a way of saying this is your structure, but it allows you to modify, to add to, change on the fly, delete from your structure, whatever you feel like deleting. But it does allow you the flexibility to change while keeping you structured.
VisionQuest is more than the sum of its features. The experience of VisionQuest may seem like magic, but the results are very real and tangible.
One of the benefits I see to our group on a day-to-day basis in using the VisionQuest software is to reduce the amount of time we spend in preparing for face-to-face meetings. In addition to reducing the amount of time we spend in planning the meetings, I think using the VisionQuest software facilitates more information gathering in that process.
When you look down at it, to what it can do for you and what it will save and what you can gain from it, it becomes pennies.
To arrange for a VisionQuest test application or for more information, call 512-794-8858. VisionQuest from Collaborative Technologies Corporation.
All right, welcome back. Now, we talked about communication, shared space earlier when we were discussing the difference between communication and shared space. So what does technology give us in terms of that model? In terms of that model, technology can be understood in three ways. Number one, it provides communication support, process structuring, and information processing. In terms of communication support, we use these tools, and it allows us to give synchronicity, anonymity, simultaneity, interactivity, telepresence, and richness to our communication. Okay, for example, me just standing there in a classroom and giving lecture is very different in richness than me using slides and pointers, etc. In terms of technology to help that. However, in addition to all of that, a shared space allows us to give a structure to the process that we are following. A structured agenda forces us to be on agenda, allows us to organize things better, and so on and so forth. It also allows us to process information which is much faster than humans can by using voting tools, decision support systems, and today in environments like Second Life, it can even allow us to simulate things. Okay, and that is what technology provides. We were restricted in a non-technology environment primarily to communication and some process structuring and information processing, but all of these elements have been substantially enhanced with the help of technology, and that's why technology in group support systems, in group work, does a much better job than anybody else. Okay, does that make I hope that makes sense to you guys. Collaboration tools and communication can also be distinguished into two different ways: synchronous and asynchronous. Asynchronous is what we are doing right now. This is the idea of different place, different time, and synchronous is different place, or rather place doesn't matter, different time. Oops, I'm sorry, not different time, same time. Okay, what I'm trying to tell you now is that in today's environment, place is losing its importance. Okay, things can be done in different place and still be on the same time, and you can still do a very good job. For example, let me give you an example of a synchronous setting where we know all the IT companies, when they manage projects in India, they do it over synchronous channels or asynchronous channels. However, Southwest Airlines, when they wanted to set up a call center that was synchronous, they used housewives in the middle part of the country and set up a synchronous network of them where they could work whenever they wanted at in a stipulated period, and they would pick up the phone for 2 hours, 3 hours during the day and act as call center representatives. So rather than having one unique location of having their call centers, their call center was distributed all over the Midwest using synchronous technology. Okay, the slide also gives you examples of what you can use. For example, in a synchronous setting, I can use Office applications such as Word or PowerPoint. I do that all the time when standing in a classroom. Or when it is in a multiple location, I can use softwares like Microsoft Groove, and in our world, we use Illuminate, okay, as a virtual classroom. When it's asynchronous, I can use email, discussion forum, team surveys, and I can use wikis, blogs, or softwares like SharePoint, which a lot of your firms are using already. Okay, again, this idea is to create a common repository of all the documents. Let's start with the slide, the figure at the end. This is a figure that I presented at a recent e-learning seminar. This is what I'm trying to tell here. Okay, today's world is very different than the world we used to live in. Today, you guys are in multiple forums at multiple times. Okay, you are working in Teams, or you are on your cell phone. You are chatting, you are on email, you are on wikis and blogs and MySpaces and Facebooks of the world. Okay, as an organization, work needs to get there too. Okay, because you are on the web, and that's why technology is an essential part of your work and the ability to allow you to collaborate over time or space. Okay, and the same idea for e-learning. We need to get there. We need to get there in terms of good usage of Facebook and MySpace. Now, again, I'm not so sure we can in terms of e-learning, but organizations are using it, trying to collaborate with their customers or trying to collaborate with their with themselves, among themselves. Second Life is another big one. We already talked about blogs and wikis. You've seen a demo of Groupware. Then there are knowledge management systems like SharePoint and even parts of Blackboard that allow us to do knowledge management. Knowledge management is actually the next lecture that we will do, so we'll come back to this. Okay. IT. IT to facilitate collaboration. Not all collaboration tools are same. We can distinguish it in three categories. Number one, no control. Okay, email attachments with the server. Okay, now you just send emails from one person to another, and sometimes we have no control over it. Who has got what? Then we can have some version control. If you use wikis and Google Docs and Microsoft Groove, you can actually see who's changing when and at what time. Okay, or you can have even higher control using server-side tools like Microsoft SharePoint. So depending on the amount of control you need, depending on the amount of flexibility in an organization, okay, depending on the amount of collaboration you're doing, you might want to decide where you want to do. For example, for my committee work, because it's very strict and you have to manage versions and you have to manage all the different minutes of the meeting, I use a version controlled SharePoint. For my work on research, where I need more flexibility, I use Microsoft Groove. Okay, and I'm collaborating with 4 or 5 different universities at the same time using Microsoft Groove. Teams or virtual teams, does any difference exist thus now? As I said, today this idea of virtual, the idea of different place, that's dead. Nobody is really bothered about the fact that you are on a different place, different time. Let me give you a modern imperative. Sun Microsystems, where workers can work anytime, anywhere, whether in office or a coffee shop. AT&T, 17% of the managers don't have an office. Okay. Soon it is expected that nearly 70% of the time that people spend will be in teams, but not necessarily face to face. It is this that IT has to manage. Okay, it is this that IT has to manage. And with the recession, and before that with 9/11, this has only increased. Okay, this has only increased. So let's compare virtual teams and traditional teams. Virtual teams, multiple zones, greater efficiency, but can lead to communication difficulties. Traditional teams have less scheduling difficulties, and that's what we do. We get together in our MBA classroom and say, can we meet this time, can we meet that time? What we are trying to do is to get especially our executive MBA into a communication channel, into a virtual communication mode, where you all share a calendar, so that you can see exactly what's happening. Again, when you go virtual, remember this, when you go virtual, you need more process structuring, information processing, or communication support. And that is what technology is affording you to do. In terms of technology, we need this. Team members need to be more proficient. Technology is not essential in this case. Team diversity, again, it's the more diverse the team, because it's even over multiple geographies, it is more heterogeneous, and thus these things become more important, and thus formal management of these things by clearly identified things like a group contract are substantially more important in a virtual team as compared to a traditional team. Okay. However, if you achieve all of this, the benefits are phenomenal. This is what came out of a recent McKinsey article. Okay. Management, there are many barriers to collaboration, is what the article said. There are, when you go for help and go and ask for help or collaboration from somebody, the first is, it's not my problem, it was done by somebody else, and I don't want to do it. Or, hey, if I help you and I tell you, they won't need me anymore. Okay. Or it's such a big problem, I don't know how to help you. I just don't have the time to do that. I want to help, but I don't know how to help. Or I don't know you, or I don't know the problem. I don't understand the problem. Okay, these, and they genuinely don't understand. These are 4 critical elements that prevent collaboration, successful collaboration, to happen. This idea of going to a concerted value that we talked about in the first part of our presentation. However, management has a lot of levers that can help. You can do it through HR procedures, you can mandate it, you can actually measure it, you can award people based on the level of collaboration you get, and if you are able to do that, the benefits are phenomenal. You can transfer best practices, so you can do problem solving, cross-selling, cross-pollination of ideas. The ideas people come up with is phenomenal. And this is why when Disney bought Pixar, Disney did not go in and mess with the management levers that they have. Okay? Because the new collaboration existed in Pixar. And they did a good job at Pixar of collaboration. They have not merged the 2 companies. Pixar still stands independent of that. In summary, technology is playing a major role in transforming the web on how it's done. Virtual organizations permit workers to work from anywhere, and that's a big deal. Hiring and supervising employees are driven more by technology. Virtual teams are becoming very common. I am going to leave you with 2 things at the end of this. First is this demonstration of Groove and OneNote. Okay, these are 2 tools that are critical. Both can be downloaded from your eAcademy website, but both of these tools are critical in terms of managing collaboration. I would like you to see them, use them if possible. I had one person in my class a few years ago who actually used Groove in their church to manage their church systems. Okay, Groove is a peer-to-peer system, so you don't need a server, and it's free to use up to 3 spaces for anybody who doesn't have a Groove license, as long as somebody in the network has a Groove license. OneNote is a note-taking tool. It completely changes the way notes are taken in today's environment. It looks exactly like a notebook. I'll let you see the demo. The second thing I'm going to leave you with is a podcast on how mass collaboration, when somebody says mass collaboration, always think of Wikipedia, how mass collaboration is changing the world. Okay, because of the way technology, because of the way this demo is getting created, we might go from this demonstration to another one really quickly without a break. I apologize for that, but I hope that you understand this idea of collaboration, the need for collaboration, and how technology is supporting it. In closing comments, technology is forcing everybody to go virtual and understand it. Okay, technology advances have been rapid in the last 2-3 years, and the amount of work you can actually get using technology. Go back to the Vision Quest example. Getting technology to use is just phenomenal. Okay, so again, please email me if you have questions. Thank you very much.
In business, people actually need to work together to succeed. You need to be able to find ways to share information, collaborate, and get your message out. And do it in a way that makes it easy for all your colleagues to get together on it. I'm going to show you some programs you'll find in Microsoft Office 2007 that can actually help bring your people together and work more effectively. A good place to start is Microsoft Office Groove 2007. It's a program that lets you create an online environment for you and your group. With a few clicks, you can create a workspace, invite people into your group, and then give them access to your documents and projects so they can join in, participate. So if you have a project that has a tight deadline, the workspace you create on your computers mean you don't have to bother carrying around support materials every time you want to meet. All the pieces can live in your workspace, and you're not bound to the office. This would be good for teams that travel or work from different offices. You can work anywhere, even without a LAN or network. Automatic synchronization keeps your team members up to date with the latest versions of all your documents. So that was Groove. You can take it to the next level by also using Office Communicator 2007. Communicator lets Groove work with other Office 2007 programs. So, for example, while your team works to finish up a PowerPoint presentation, you can get instant access to each other by using Instant Messenger or even your phone, all from within Groove. If one or more of your team members can't physically be at the meeting, they can still participate by logging in from home or even their hotel room, wherever they can get a net connection. Microsoft Office OneNote 2007 is another way to make your group interact better. It's kind of cool, actually. You can create a shared notebook for your group where you store everything related to a project, phone calls, emails, supporting documents, even like random notes. So each person can make changes into documents in real time, and any changes made offline are added once they sign in again. On one screen, you can see your project tasks, track what's already done and what still needs to be finished. And if someone on your team doesn't have OneNote, they can still participate through HTML updates to bring them up to speed. There's also another collaboration tool you can find in Office 2007. It's called Live Meeting. It uses PowerPoint and other familiar tools to create a shared workspace. And it comes in handy when holding meetings, doing training, or giving presentations. The entire group sees your materials on their own computers, and you can make changes to the document, participate in polls, even use an online whiteboard. So instead of just using email as your collaboration tool, take a leap and have a look at these tools in Office 2007.